for Leadership, Strategy and Development, focused on strengthening democracy in Nigeria. The event brought together prominent politicians, mostly from opposition political parties, while notably some attendees who are members of the APC are now perceived as opposition due to their non-participation in the party's affairs, or would you say their public criticisms of the party. Now the controversy is about who said what and how. Also, several interpretations and contexts have been given to statements credited to certain individuals. Well, President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on media and public communications, Sunday Dare, put out a tweet on his verified X Twitter handle where he said the conference was a gathering convened to further spread ill will. However, he said, and I quote, "This is 2025, not 2027. Let those who want to test their popularity with Nigerians wait for the next election. President Bola Tinubu is fully focused on providing the leadership that will transform our country." End of quote. Today on the program, we are not doing a postmortem of this conference, but to give context to some issues that have also inspired such a gathering of political forces seeking to strengthen the opposition against President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 election. And my guest today is a politician and economist, Mohammed Jibrin Barde. He was also the PDP flag bearer in the 2023 governorship election in Gombe State. He joins us from the United Kingdom. Hello, sir. Good to have you on the program, and good to see you again. Great.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, great, and it's good to see you. We're talking about, issues that have been happening in the polity, especially talks about, this gathering of politicians, political forces advocating for, strengthening democracy. But there are also some issues coming out of that conference, especially statements, credited to some politicians. A statement like, the politician is there to steal, maim, and kill to remain in power. You are a politician now. I'm not, my question will be, how do you explain this kind of statement? Is that truly the case?
Thank you very much, Femi. I want to first say that the National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria, organized by the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, is actually a timely intervention given the myriad of challenges facing our democracy. And therefore, the conference, or rather focus on the highlights of the conference, in which it really looked at electoral reforms and institutional independence in the country. It also looked at the political integrity and governance accountability, and also the role of civil society and citizens' engagement. I don't think, to answer you correctly, that politician is there to kill and maim. No. Politics is all about capturing political power and for the good of the citizens. There is a social contract between the state and the people of Nigeria, or the people of each and every state. And therefore, in that social contract, there are quite a number of requirements that are expected of leaders. Unfortunately for us, our constitutional requirement requires that before you can get access to power or you can get access to leadership, you have to run on the back of a political party. And therefore, you must be able to have a platform to be able to seek for power so that you will be able to carry on the social contract between the state and the citizenry. And therefore, in so doing, I don't think it is about maiming and killing. It is sad that in the past, we have had this kind of experiences in our political life. But however, what we should focus on going forward is how do we improve on our relationship as members of political parties within a party and amongst other political parties, and also how do we ensure that we meet this social contract if we have access to political leadership or the governance leadership of the country between ourselves and the citizenry. Thank you very much.
In the coming days, we would see conferences like these, meetings of this nature. We would see people in the opposition come together to hold talks about strategizing for the 2027 general election. But one thing they say is looking at the 2015 election, how it became possible for the APC to win was because they could form a strong merger, a conglomeration of political forces to then wrest power from the People's Democratic Party. But currently today, it appears as if there is no base for the opposition. There is no unity. There is no cohesion of all of these forces to be able to even challenge or put the feet of the ruling government to the fire.
Well, you see, Femi, to be honest with you, democracy cannot thrive on its own. It requires an active participation from all Nigerians, and particularly the elite and the educated class. We must step into the arena and contest for positions of influence in order to influence policy decisions and also hold leaders accountable. And that was exactly what happened in 2013, when the merger of the many political parties took place in order to challenge the status quo. If you recall that the APC strongly believed, and generally there was this consensus in the country that the PDP as a political party was notorious for rigging elections, corruptions, and political intolerance. And therefore the APC came together in order, a combination of so many people from different political parties and different political parties in order to merge, in order to challenge the government. And that was a very decisive moment for the country. And unfortunately today, you have seen that many of the actors in the APC have also left the party, and the party itself is becoming weak under its own strength. So for me, it is very clear that what we need to focus on is how do we as elites and as educated class actually participate genuinely for the good of the people of the country. The problem we've had is that if you look at it, most of our political parties have basically they are not based on very concrete or sound ideological footings, and it is just that people join political parties for the sake of gaining access to power. As I said to you, our constitution only allows you to contest on for an election on the platform of a political party. So the aim or goals of each and every individual who goes into a political party particularly has nothing to do with building party politics or ensuring that the political party is independent itself and that it can stand on its own, but rather wants to use it as a means to an end in order to gain access to political power. And unless the political class, and particularly the elite and the educated, have changed this attitude to ensure that we are going to build political parties that are very sound and are very strong, that are going to be based on a very sound ideological footing with clear-cut constitutional requirements, and that we all commit to submitting ourselves to the constitutional requirement of the political parties, and with clear-cut manifesto for each and every political party, will continue to meander around these issues and the challenges we are facing today in our democratic evolution in the country.
Yes, we've also seen talks about electoral reforms. We've also seen the National Assembly and government pass bills and even sign laws to enhance the electoral process in the country. But looking at the election over the years, we've again seen a decline in political participation, especially for people, registered voters, coming out to vote on election day. And this is beginning to impact on representative governance, meaning that the people who eventually win this election are not really the wish of majority, or it could be the wish of majority of those that cast their ballot, but not quite representative of the generality of Nigerians.
Yeah, Femi, the problem is the way and manner in which candidates emerge in political parties is really at the center of the problem that we are having today. And as I said to you, if you look at, in fact, go back to when the transition to politics started during the IBB regime, and if you compare that with those who actually participated or are part of military governance in the country, and why, to a large extent, you see that quite a large number of projects were executed under the military, you will come to realize that while the military worked directly with the educated elites in order to form government, in order to execute government policies, what has happened is that in the political parties, when the transition program started, the elites actually shied away from being part of the political parties. And therefore, unless we come back to the basics, unless we come back to the foundation and ensure that all of us participate in a political party process and formation, and ensure that competent people are managing our political parties, and that we have also competent at various levels of congresses, people that are actually managing each level of our political party, then you can be rest assured that candidates that will emerge are going to be substandard, so to speak, quote and unquote. And therefore, and once you don't have quality leaders that are emerging out of the political parties, then truly you can say that you don't expect to have quality leadership at the national level. And that has been the problem. And that is why I said very critical that we must encourage the elite and the educated class to engage actively. And the political parties must have must raise the threshold for those who will participate in selecting who will be the leaders of the political parties and who will emerge as candidates of our own political parties. I think that is very key if we want our democracy to really to be strengthened, and if we want to see a major development taking place in our country. Unless that happens, we'll continue to have challenges, because you will continue to have mediocres, you will continue to have mercenaries in political parties that will want to destroy political parties, and only mediocres will actually emerge as candidates of these political parties.
Well, the government of the day is the one, running the affairs right now. How well would you say they have been able to acquit themselves with regards, political integrity and governance accountability?
Well, if you look at it generally, since the APC took over power, there has been challenges that they have been facing. Of course, they made an economy, they said, that was crumbling. But if you look at the major economic dissemblance of what I call economic development, major milestone that took place, including from 1999 to 2015, you look at that was when the country was on a good footing. However, the economy, even under the PDP, still is not where it should be, because you need three critical issues to actually address if you really want our country to really move forward. One is infrastructure. The infrastructure needed to develop the country is actually still missing. It's not there. There is no power, which is a major bane for our own industrial revolution and industrial growth. And therefore also the other infrastructure that is needed across the country, the road network and the railway network that is required to move goods and services across the country is also has also not been really paid attention to. Over the years, there is little that has been done, given in comparison with the quantum of money that has been spent in this critical sector. The second other issues is meeting the social contract between the state and the people, which is basically providing the social infrastructure that is needed for the growth and for the healthy development of people, education and healthcare. This, again, is really crumbling under the weight of this government, and also not much has been done in the past compared to the level of investment that has been done. And if you look at the recent past, there has been an allegation that our democracy, our democratic institutions are actually becoming very weak by day, and there is an erosion of democratic democratic processes in the country. You have known that we have seen a lot of judicial manipulations across various elections that took place in the country. There is also a seemingly suppression of oppression of the opposition. There is a systematic suppression of opposition that is taking place quite subtly across the country. And you can clearly see even the off-cycle elections. We have seen massive election malpractices in the recent past.
Most of these election, sorry to cut in, most of these election malpractices you're talking about now, it's not it's across board. And then some people say, the opposition party will cry foul when it does not favor them. The ruling party will also cry foul if it doesn't favor them. It is across board. All political parties have their hands dipped into this.
You're quite correct, frankly. And I am just trying to give you an overview of what the challenges that the country is facing. No one is better than the other because, as I said earlier on, even the PDP itself in the past have been accused of notoriously rigging elections across the country. And that, I said, what you really need to ensure that our own institutions or our democratic process is actually strengthened is to really focus on who are the actors. And are the actors really ready now to raise the bar and ensure that the people at various levels, because it's not only at the federal level, it's not only at the state level, also local government level or ward levels. You have to go to the unit levels. We also have to make sure that those who join the party at various and who also participated as leaders of the party at various congresses actually meet the highest level of standard that is expected of who a leader should be. And when you are able to strengthen that, then you'll be able to find the people that will actually emerge to be credible, who will actually run the country. And once you have credible leadership, then you will start thinking of strengthening these institutions that we're talking about. And therefore, you can't be talking about maiming and killing and the rest of that. No, not at all.
Well, in all of this conversation, there's also a sub-theme of power shift, which some people are, beginning to bring it to the fore. And there's another group that says this kind of conversation will polarize the country because they feel that there should be an arrangement or there is an existing arrangement between the North and the South that enhances that power rotation between the two regions, that calling for a presidential candidate or a shift to another part of the country right now will mean shortchanging the South.
Well, I want to focus on what should be the solution of strengthening our democracy in the country, which is what is key here. We will need to ensure that, as I said earlier on, the educated class and the elites take responsibility and are actively engaged in systems rather than staying on the sidelines. And to be honest with you, if you have competent people and the educated class coming out, I think most of these issues that we talk about can actually will actually not come up at all. And the key solutions to strengthen our democracy is first and foremost is to make sure that all of us that are educated, most of us that are elite, who complain daily about governance, and we avoid direct involvement in politics. We should not do so. This has to change. To be honest with you, I think you focus on the real issues, and rather than focus on those old what I call the soft or subtle issues. If you have more professionals, look at the election of William McKinley in the United States of America. When there was a problem and the political class and the businessmen realized that there is a big problem they are facing at that time, what did they do? They came together. J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, and the rest of them came together and supported William McKinley, and he emerged as the president of the country. And therefore, this is the kind of thing that we really need to do in the country. Can the political class rise and ensure that we have formed a political party, or our political parties, the current one, are strengthened to be based on ideological footings? One. Secondly, we have the very best of the best that are manning the political parties at all levels. Even at the unit level, at the ward level, at the state level. And once we do that, we will be able to ensure that who will emerge will be now credible candidates. And the issue of rotation or north and south will not even arise at all in the first place. Because what we want is to see the economy growing. We want people are hungry across the country. Our businesses are crumbling across the country. There is insecurity in the country, and this has been across so many years. In fact, since as far as we can remember, in the recent democratic dispensation, we've had challenges of insecurity, from terrorism to banditry to kidnapping and the rest of that. And these are the issues that are on the table, and these are the issues that should concern Nigerians, and these are the issues that should concern our leaders. Get competent leaders that will address this problem. I think that is more key than any other thing we can talk of.
Okay, before we go quickly, let's talk about the economy, the state of the economy, especially with the ongoing economic reforms being implemented by this administration. The government says these reforms are beginning to work and the results are there. And even lately, there's this news about Naira hitting 7 months high, which they say is due to policies implemented by the Central Bank of Nigeria, especially with the new FX code. Are these indications of better days to come?
I'm really not quite sure. As of early February, if you look at it, the economy presents a very mixed landscape of challenges and cautious optimism. That's I can tell you. If you look at the economic indicators, the GDP, the Central Bank of Nigeria actually projected a GDP growth of 14.7 for 2025, attributing this to optimism on their ongoing economic reforms, as you alluded to, and also anticipating stabilization in the inflation rate. But as of December 2024, if you look at it, our inflation rate stood at about 34.8%, reflecting persistent price pressures. So I am not quite certain how this twin problem of inflation and the exchange rate problem can also be addressed. Because if you look at interest rates in November 2024, the central bank itself raised the monetary policy rate by 25 basis points. I think if you remember, it raises it to, 27.5%, and marking this as the sixth rate hike of the year 2024. And therefore, the CBN, if you look at it, has implemented several measures aimed at stabilizing the economy, of course. It has also involved itself in a monetary tightening. If you look at the tightening that has been going on, the series of interest rate hikes, of course, as I say, were designed to curb inflation, while these measures demonstrated that the central bank is committed to price stability. However, the consistent and persistent high inflation rate suggests that the impact has been limited thus far. This is the honest truth. And therefore, while the CBN's policies reflect a proactive approach in managing the economic challenges, the effectiveness of these measures remains to be fully realized, to be honest with you. And therefore, I doubt if the projected growth and the expected easing on inflation are going to be any positive signs. I don't think so. The current economic indicators highlighted the need for a continued vigilance. That is what I think the central bank should continue to do, and adapt to policy measures to achieve sustained economic stability.
How about the economic projections made in the 2025 budget? Are they realizable quickly because of time? We just have 30 seconds for that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But again, we have to wait and see what will be the first quarter results will tell us.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Mohammed Jibrin Barde, a politician, a banker, and an economist, joining us from the United Kingdom. It was nice seeing you again. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Well, that's all on the program today. You can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Also, subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching. I am Femi Akonde. See you next time.